You guys asked for the return of the ALADDIN series, so here it is. So firstly, I want to thank you guys actually for caring so much about learning. I recently polled you guys asking you the question about what kinds of content you wanted me to put out here on the new Sam Martin Burr YouTube channel, and all of you guys pretty much unanimously voted for educational content stuff, whether it be the return of the ALADDIN series, whether it be a new Quran, word by word series or something like that, and then also for what you wanted on Patreon as well. When I surveyed you guys asking you what you wanted, whether you wanted a little thank you gift, or you wanted bonus PDF resources, or you wanted live hangouts, or behind the scenes help and stuff like that, you all voted for educational stuff. So I want to thank you so much for that. Like, I'm so grateful that we have a community here of people who actually really care about learning. So that's the first thing. So here we are. Sam Martin Burr YouTube channel, Sam Martin Burr podcast, continuing the ALADDIN series. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue from Al-Fasl al-Thani, the second chapter, the second part of ALADDIN. Those of you who are reading along, you can just go to the description box below, or if you're listening on the podcast, you can go to the show notes, because I'll have a little link to the PDF where you can download it there for free, and you can read along. So we'll be on page 19, inshallah, and we'll get into it. So I've only got a couple of little announcements before we move into the main body of the nitty-gritty of actually continuing this walkthrough. So I'll put a little timestamp in the description below as well, so you can pick up if you're not interested in the announcements. So if you want bonus PDFs, you guys asked for it, so you guys are going to get it. Then you can sign up to Patreon, inshallah. So we have a bonus PDF resource with all the vocab lists, all of the grammar notes, and the actual text itself as well, available for patrons. So for every single one of these ALADDIN walkthroughs, and every single one of the Quran word-by-word walkthroughs that we're going to do as well on Fridays. So we're doing this on Mondays, the ALADDIN series on Mondays. We're doing the walkthrough of the Quran on Fridays, and we'll have PDF bonus resources for every single one of those episodes, and they're all available on Patreon. So if you want to get access to those and a few other bits and bobs, and there's a £3 a month subscription, that works out at probably works out like 25p per extra resource or something like that, and it goes such a long way to helping the YouTube channel, helping us create more resources to help more people access Arabic texts. So it's a very, very good way for you to spend £3 a month. Okay, so that's our £3 a month level. £10 a month level is a bonus level as well. So there's actually a bonus resource as well for every single one of the students who joins up at that level. That's £10. At £12, we have a live hangout every month. So everybody who's joined at £12 or above, we're going to have a live hangout every month where you guys can tune in with me and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about, right? I am going to be putting together an Arabic writing club where I'm going to set an assignment every month, and I'm actually going to demonstrate me writing a passage about something in Arabic. Then I'll set you guys some homework and you can submit it to me and I'll mark it for you, and we'll improve your Arabic writing that way. We kind of got inspired to create that as something that students on the Arabic in 60 Steps program can bolt onto the program, or they can do after. Because there's lots of things that we'll do in that where we'll actually be using the stuff that we're learning in the program, because most of the practice for the program is is mainly focused on reading and also on translating, but it'll be good practice for you guys to actually be using the stuff that you're learning and producing it for your own Arabic. So that's something really exciting. But we're going to have a £35 level. For those of you who just want to do one writing assignment a month, but if you want to do two, we'll have a £67 a month option as well, inshallah. And then for £120 a month, we only have 16 spaces for this, is if you want to be taught one-on-one by me. So every single week you'll have a lesson with me, and that's £120 a month level. So those are all the different levels on Patreon. So so that's it for now. And then the last thing, I promise this will be the last thing before we get into the nuts and bolts of the main lesson today, is I want to give a huge shout out to Abu Utayya, who's our first ever patron. So he's a patron on the bonus level. So may Allah bless him, and I very much look forward to welcoming many more of you into the Patreon community, inshallah, of people who care about accessing Arabic texts. So let's get into our return of the ALADDIN series. So here we are. Okay, I'm going to put it up on the screen. I'll put it up on the screen so you have access to it as well and you can see it. So what do we have? Okay, we have Wasiyatu Sahiru. The Sahir is not a new character in the story. The Sahir is someone who we've known from the very beginning, and the Sahir is the sorcerer. Literally, the word Sahir is the active participle of the term Sihr, which means magic. So a magician or a sorcerer. Okay, but what is a wasiyya? Because this is an idafa going on here. This is the wasiyya of the Sahir. The wasiyya is the instruction or the will. You can use that word for a will if someone passes away and it's what you want to do, what you want people to do or inherit after you die. But it's It's the instructions, really. So the instructions of the sahir. Okay, what does the sahir say? That the sahir isn't mayyit, he's not dead here, so we'll take the meaning of the instructions, right? The instructions of the sahir. ثم قال له الساحر. ثم is a really useful word, especially for those of you guys who are joining the writing club. Whenever you're telling stories, ثم is really useful, because it just means and then. If you say something happened, ثم this happened, and then ثم that happened. Okay, so ثم is very useful. And then. قال له الساحر. And then the sahir said to him. ارفع هذا الحجر. A hajara is a stone. Irfa' is the imperative from the verb rafa'a, which means to lift or to raise. Not always to lift, it can just be to raise something, but here as it's a stone, when you're saying هذا الحجر, this stone, it's saying lift this stone, right? You can sometimes say to people like raise your voice, ارفع صوتك. It's very common to hear teachers in the Arab world say that, ارفع صوتك, raise your voice. It doesn't mean lift in that case, it means raise. But okay, so lift this stone. بعد أن تنطق باسمك وباسم أبيك وجدك. Good, okay, so بعد أن تنطق. بعد أن means after. It means after, or literally after that. Yeah, بعد means after, and أن means that. After that, تنطق. So تنطق, the نطق is the uttering. After you utter. Yeah, the verb نطق ينطق. There's an ayah in Surah Al-Najm, I believe. وَمَا يَنطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ. It's a very common way that we describe our beloved messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. نعم, هو نبي لا ينطق عن الهوى. He is a prophet, لا ينطق عن الهوى. He does not utter from his desires. What he says is from revelation, right? It's wahi. وَلَا يَنطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ. Anyway, so what do we have so far? Lift this stone after you utter bismika, your name, wasmi abika, and the name of your father, wajaddika, and your grandfather. Why are all of these words majroor? Why is it bismika and wasmi abika? And, well, it's because all of them are majroor after the harf jar bi. Bismika, wa bismi abika, wa bismi jaddika, right? It's saying, so some of them are majroor because of the bi, and some of them are majroor because they are mudaf ilayhi, the name of your father and the name of your grandfather, like this. Good. What for? لَيَسْهُلَ عَلَيْكَ رَفْعُهُ. لَيَسْهُلَ. So the verb sahala, the word sahl, many of you guys have probably heard it. It is the opposite of sa'ab, and it means easy. Sahl. لِيَسْهُلَ, to make easy. To make easy عَلَيْكَ. To make easy upon you. رَفْعُهُ. It's رفع. ما معنى رفع? يعني lifting. To make its lifting easy upon you. So what do we have so far? And then the sorcerer said, lift this stone after you say your name and your father's name and your grandfather's name in order to make upon you, in order to ease for you its lifting. Very nice. فَأَطَاعَ أَمْرَ السَّاحِرِ بِلَا تَرَدُّدٍ. It's good, so فَأَطَاعَ. So أَطَاعَ. أَطَاعَ is a form 4 verb, and it means to obey. أَطَاعَ. Present tense, يُطِيعُ, and the masdar would be إِطَاعَ. إِطَاعٌ. Good. Good. What else do we have? أَمْرَ السَّاحِرِ. So he obeyed the amra, the command, the amr of the sahir. He obeyed the command of the sahir. بلا تردد. تردد يعني hesitation. So without hesitation. بلا, with not hesitation. Right? بلا تردد. Without hesitation. Good, so what happens next? فرأى سلما يصل إلى داخل الكنز. What does he see? This verb رأى means to see. So he saw سلما. A سلم يعني a ladder. Yes, it means a ladder. Doing what? يصل, arriving. The verb وصل means to arrive. Yes, إلى, arriving to داخل الكنز. The ladder is going inside of the treasure, right? داخل means the inside or the internal part of. الكنز. الكنز يعني the treasure. Good. The plural is كنوز, by the way. Yes, كنز كنوز. Very nice. So what do we have? فقال له الساحر. We've already seen that. We've got exact verbatim use of that actually earlier in the text, don't we? Or maybe not at the beginning, but قال له الساحر. So the sorcerer said to him, انتبه. He says, انتبه إلى كل ما أقول لك. This term انتبه, it means take heed of or be careful. It can just be translated as be careful. انتبه. انتبه, be careful of. So use انتبه إلى if you're careful of something. إلى كل, to كل, all of ما أقول لك. All of what I say to you. All of what I say to you. Or all of what I tell you, rather. In many languages, there's kind of a challenge in translating to say and to tell. Like in Spanish, I believe both of them would translate to decir or something. But in Arabic, the way you distinguish between them is to tell somebody is just to say to somebody, right? So saying to say something in Arabic is قال لشخص, to say to a person is to say. So we often translate this as what I tell you rather than what I say to you. Good. وإلا really means and except, but perhaps what it means in its actual context here is or else. Or else this next thing will happen to you. عرضت نفسك للهلاك. وإلا, or unless, or else. عرضت means to expose oneself to something. Or rather, the verb عرض له means to expose to something. And because it's nafs, it's oneself, right? وإلا عرضت نفسك للهلاك. Or else you will expose yourself to halak, to destruction. You will expose yourself to destruction. So we have quite an ominous little introduction to our return of the ALADDIN series. I'll give you guys a little anecdote, inshallah, just to end with, on the word halak, which I really like. I've maybe told it on this channel before, well, probably not on this channel actually, but on the Arabic in 60 Steps channel maybe, where there's a famous story from the Arab world where an Arab from the city, who in these like Arab anecdotes, there's always a person from the city who speaks Arameya, they don't speak proper Fusha, and in these stories there's always like the archetypal Bedouin who's always like eloquent and speaks perfect Fusha and stuff. Unfortunately, I've discovered that that's not always the reality, but I've met some people in the desert whose Arabic is not Fusih. But anyway, okay, for the sake of this story, we have archetypal Bedouin, speaks perfect Fusha. Archetypal city folk who does not, okay? So he comes to the desert and says to the Bedouin, كيف أهلك? Probably كيف أهلك or something like that maybe. Okay, so كيف or كيف, however people say it these days, means how. أهلك is a very common way of saying how's your family. It's a very common way. But actually the verb أهلك, which comes from this word halak, أهلك means to destroy or to perish, right? أهلك. So if we were to vowel everything in this sentence, كيف أهلك, كيف أهلك, that's how people say it in Arameya, but in Fusha it would be understood as, how did he perish? How did he perish, right? But what the person from the city is trying to say is, كيف أهل, because أهل means family, okay? It should really be saying, كيف أهلك? How are your family? It should be أهلك rather than أهلك. But it's a habit of colloquial Arabic to put the gendered vowel, whether it be ka or ki, before the k sound, right? So let's say كيف أهلك to a man or كيف أهلك to a woman, right? But in Fusha it should really be كيف أهلك or كيف أهلك to a man or a woman, respectively. Okay, so in the anecdote, the Bedouin says sulban, sulban. He says stiff. Because in the Bedouin's head, the conversation that's happened is he's saying, how did he perish? And the Bedouin is saying, stiff. That's how people's bodies go when they ahlaka. So Yeah, that's a commonly told anecdote. I've been told it at least twice by two different teachers, just reflecting on some of the differences between how city folk speak Ammiya and how the archetypal Bedouin folk speak Fusha. But that's just a little anecdote to end on. So lastly, I'll put all the details for Patreon and for the new website and everything like that. It'll all go in the description section below. But for now, make use, inshallah, of the bonus resources that we have inside of Patreon for all of you guys who support the channel, support the podcast, and support all of the work here. Over on Patreon for as little as £3 a month to get hold of all of those bonus resources. But I'll see you guys next Monday, inshallah, for episode 2 of the relaunch of the ALADDIN series. So I'll see you guys then. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.